All right, so it is session 44 of Descent into Fernia. Who would like to give the recap?
Solomon died.
The end.
Right. Solomon got beheaded
Yeah.
when he was manning one of the weapon stations on top of the vehicle. Lux got pushed off the vehicle.
He got the Gary Busey treatment.
And that was all thanks to Vegnog not willing to negotiate with terrorists, aka.
Basically, yeah, we saw an overwhelming force and we decided we could take them.
We could have, under very different circumstances. Circumstances being not what we did. Anything but what we did. Honestly. Literally anything else.
Right.
So I think the plan, we could take care of them.
The plan, as Solomon thought it was we would go up and we would give this guy the ring, and then our negotiator would lie to him and say that we killed Feanor. And this is otherwise a ring that we're not using, and then we keep in a lead line box because everyone's afraid of it because it's so evil. But instead, the warlord, or at least I don't remember if it was the warlord or some minion, said to hand the ring over. And Vegnog decided no, because that would be giving up his bargaining chip. But Solomon was like, but we don't even want it. But in any event, Vegnog said no, and was sort of given an ultimatum, a last chance. And Vegnog told him to screw off. And that's how the fight began. Also, really all we wanted to do was cross the bridge and see if we could negotiate anything further out of this guy, like more soul coins.
Yeah.
And then Solomon got beheaded. Lux managed to epically jump over a mountain, landing perfectly back on the vehicle. And then we drove off. They seem to have given up pursuit.
I would say the turning point of the fight was when the Shadow of Death got a natural 20 on his dex save to avoid being run over.
Yeah.
Which then allowed him to get onto the roof, which then turned it into a hybrid fight of vehicle and on top of the vehicle.
I don't know if I ever knew that he was on the vehicle.
Right.
No.
So to me, I'm just driving around trying not to get blown up.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And that's also
you would basically spent the whole fight just driving, trying to avoid things, and at one point trying to run the guy over.
Yeah.
But he dodged that.
learned that probably leave the decks, the people who can make evasion saves as gunners.
I like how you
and the weapons,
right,
rather than those who cannot.
I like how you said the turning point was the point at the very beginning of the combat.
Really, the turning point was when Vegnog said, "I'm not giving you the ring."
Yeah.
It's mine, precious.
So as I recall, once Solomon had been killed, and then you guys had taken off. Lux managed to rejoin the group, and because I think at some point Lux got knocked off the vehicle,
Right.
And they didn't pursue. For what reason they didn't pursue, you don't know, but they allowed you to leave. And so you guys traveled like a bat through hell, to find somewhere where you could lay low. I believe you had found a grouping of large boulders, or perhaps even a kind of hidden path ravine or something, where you were able to temporarily stop and assess, which is when some of you discovered Solomon's body up on the roof of the vehicle.
Lux presumably would have seen it when she was diving in from the sky.
Yes. In fact, because Lux wasn't on the vehicle at the time of Solomon's death, Lux, you probably had a front row seat to watching Solomon's head get separated from its body.
Yeah, that was brought up in the game. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you reminded me.
And so Lux, if you wanted to take an opportunity to grab Solomon's head to make sure that you could properly take care of his final rights, you could have had that opportunity to grab it.
I think somebody did pick it up. So I think it was all, I don't think I got it, but I think somebody did get it.
If it wasn't you, I'm not sure who would have had the opportunity, since nobody else was on the roof at the time. I'm pretty sure.
Right. Okay.
Because at that time, Vagnog, you had gone back into the vehicle, correct? Because you were kind of firing from the manhole.
Yeah. Vegnog went into the went and sat back in the next to Ewan and kind of powered down, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Because Vagnog, you had gotten pretty beaten up from the initial volley of blasts from their massive cannon vehicles, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I was like,
Or wait a minute, no, you have your uncanny dodge.
yeah, I was. Vegnog was fine HP. He was more. It was more trying to process his major role in Solomon's death.
All right,
Well,
so
I seem to remember Vegnog was aware Solomon was killed, whereas Ewan wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't know. Once I learned, I would have fucking found a place that we could stop.
Yeah, because Solomon, or not Solomon, Vegnog popped up out of, because he popped up out of the top cover of the war machine, and he saw Solomon's headless body slumped there, and then popped out and was like looking for the shadow of death.
mhm.
So he saw.
All right, so it is some indeterminate amount of time later, you guys have managed to stop and regroup, and now you are kind of taking stock of everything that's happened since approaching the shadow of death.
I find a good place to fucking hide our vehicle here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it into whatever AC mode only or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if there's like knobs. I just turn the engine off and only have AC going. Conserve soul coin here. Get up and like, well, that didn't go as planned, did it? It's like look over to Vegnog, who's powered off.
The lights in his eyes begin to grow glow a little bit brighter, and he starts twitching awake. No. I killed him.
I mean, you didn't personally kill him, but
I might as well have. I've killed many, but never a friend. Maybe Solomon was right. This land is evil.
negotiations really broke down there.
What merchant gives away their only bargaining chip? That's not how you win. But maybe they weren't very interested in dealing in the first place.
Maybe. That being said, they didn't shoot at us as soon as we approached. That's somewhat of a sign, I guess. Listen, I didn't want to make a deal with the son of a bitch either, but
Well, I guess we need to find slow coins. And another way around the bridge. Or a way through it.
So where is Solomon's body? Is it still up top, right?
Unless somebody has taken time to place it elsewhere.
So Lux, who has been sitting and staring at the middle distance inside the vehicle, will get up and start heading outside. If you brought the head in, she would go and just grab it and like tuck it and put it in, like cover it with something and put it around her arm and start walking out with it.
Lux, as you walked out, you would see in the distance in a cloud rolling around along the ground, approaching. Very dark cloud. It's different from the pyroclastic storm that you guys had experienced before. It's not so high in the sky. You don't see lightning. You don't feel the rumble of thunder. But it is slowly creeping across the ground towards you, and it goes in miles in every direction. Go ahead, give me a survival or a nature check.
Nope.
Okay. You'd say that it's probably going to reach you within the next couple hours.
Okay. So so Lux then starts to remove like Solomon's armor or whatever, collect his weapons. And then, since he's not very strong, would probably just kind of push him out of the seat onto the ground.
probably be watching. And as soon as you try and do that, I'd help you, I guess.
And then she would climb down and slowly drag Solomon's body away, like plodding along.
Where are you going?
She just kind of looks at you and stares, but she looks like right through you and then turns back and continues to walk.
I just like look back into the vehicle. Let's get this thing coasting.
Oh yeah. What's coasted?
Like just coasting along. It's like on sitting on idle, let it just put it into gear, but not hit the gas, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
I forgot. You're like, you're only just now learning to drive. It's fine.
Yeah, he knows what to do once the vehicle is started. Yeah, Vegnog will get behind the driver's seat and turn it on and start driving slowly. In the direction of Lux.
Wait, so you guys are driving slowly, but Lux is gone with Solomon's body outside the car?
Well,
They're creeping behind me.
she's dragging him like this is the thing she feels she must do, right? So I'm just like just coasting it. Like if she's slow about it, just let this thing sort of chug, like just coast along, following her.
So giving Lux some space, but also making sure that she
She doesn't
stays
fucking
safe
just
and not
walk
too far
away.
from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see here. That's probably about right. So I really don't remember too many of the silver flame prayers. As I get to like an open spot of ground and place the body and the head together and perform one of the silver flames death rites and take out my flask of oil.
There's all the stuff on me
And-
that you might care about, by the way.
Okay.
Not the first one.
Well, that's the most important one. That's why that went first.
That's
Skipping right over. Don't need it.
Wait, this
Don't need
is
it.
that is essentially his son, his last living descendant.
Heir to his legacy.
That's true. In a certain sense, maybe Walla Walla actually owns everything else in that list.
It's his new character. His new character is the fucking koala.
So, Lux, you're able to do the basics of the funeral rite. I mean, with a 10, it'd probably be equivalent to knowing like the I guess the Christian version of the Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name thing. So you'd know like the basic prayer, but also, I mean, you don't really need a formal prayer either. You can just kind of create your own. So I don't know if you want to speak for Lux in terms of what her prayer might sound like.
I like to think it would be sort of so generic that it would just be like the Lord's Prayer. Not even like, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, just our Father who art in heaven. Like she just says grace. Rub dub dub, thanks for the grub.
Yay, silver flame. Yeah, she gets out the flask of oil she's got and then lights a torch and then sets the body on fire and stands there and just watches it burn. I would say probably like an hour passes. So however long it takes, probably hour and a half, as that storm is like getting closer right up on us, and as it's in the background, and she starts to go through the remains, what's left, and you see her just kind of bend down, and then she gets back up. And then kind of scatters the ashes and begins to walk back to the vehicle, which I'm sure is like right behind me.
Ewan and Vagnog, is there anything that you guys would do in terms of your own honoring of Solomon's memory or passing or anything? Would you share with Lux in any of the rites that she's doing, or would you have your own kind of private moment?
Ewan would just be leaning back, let Lux do her thing. She wants to say a prayer, that's fine. Ewan is back here cursing gods.
I think Vegnog is going to be, he's going to deal with his grief the old fashioned way. He's going to find something else to focus on. And he's going to take a renewed interest in attempting to fill the father figure that Walla Walla needed and sought in Solomon. So he'll try to, pay attention to Walla Walla.
Subdue him, prevent him from fleeing.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's perfect because I mean, Walla Walla can scratch you, bite you, headbutt you, and you won't even feel it.
Yeah, they're just love scratches. So, yeah, where is Walla Walla?
He was in the vehicle, tied in the back on 10 feet of silk rope.
So,
That explains why Lux found 40 feet of silk rope.
He's not in there. He's like 50 feet away because he's chewed through the rope.
You'd go and go over to Walla Walla and start petting him and attempting to make friends, not saying anything.
I forgot that. Yeah, so I grabbed Solomon's bag of holding. So I do grab some of the ashes, whatever I can, scatter some, and then put some in a bag. And then I begin to walk back to the vehicle. And I mean, if you actually make eye contact with Lux, this is probably the soberest you've ever seen her, as she just kind of walks into the vehicle.
Yeah, and I will say too, normally a flask of oil and a match wouldn't be enough to burn a body so completely as to leave only ashes. But here in Fernia, fire works different. And so it's definitely more than enough time to reduce Solomon's remains into just ashes. So the storm in the distance is definitely closer. Still probably about an hour and a half away. As it's rolling closer, you notice that it looks very eerie in terms of the way it's moving and how it is so vast in its looming, but also just so quiet and still. Unlike with the pyroclastic storm that you guys had been in, where it seemed like it was churning up so much of the ash around and just having such a dramatic effect on the landscape, this is almost serene in terms of the approach of whatever this is.
Damn place in its fucking clouds. How fast is it going? Well, I don't know. Do we think we can move parallel to its front and avoid it?
Parallel to its front.
Yeah, so like it's got a front that's coming at us. I want to go this way and maybe just be gone past it before it would get to where we are.
It seems too vast to kind of go past it. I mean, you could certainly try. It seems to be covering ground quite quickly, even though it's going to take an hour or so. Even if you guys were to be moving perpendicular to it, away from the cloud, there's a chance that it will overtake you. I mean, it's not certain, but that would be your guess.
I'm just gonna find a good place good nook for the fucking vehicle and just park us like on the other side of from where the storm's going.
Yeah, and Vegnog's gonna like help him look for a nook.
Okay. So give me an investigation or survival check to see how well you do in finding a nook, or you can use nature.
You get advantage on that.
Me or you?
One of us.
I mean, you're at the lookout area, so
Okay.
it would seem appropriate.
Yeah, I'll do investigation. $20.
Okay. So, since you guys know you have at least an hour before the storm gets to you, you could begin driving away from the storm, or like Ewan had suggested, parallel to it to try and escape it. But and then while you're doing that, you can look. You can see either course you take. In the distance, there are land elements that suggest that you could potentially find a suitable spot if you needed to. And so as you guys are going along, you see an outcropping of stones and hills that could serve as a kind of shelter. As you approach, though, you see that there's actually an infernal war machine. It seems like it's also tried to position itself to hide. And had you approached from any other direction, you might not have noticed it. But because you were approaching in the optimal position to have noticed it, and because Vegna, your investigation check was so high, you were able to see it, enough of it to see that it's there.
Is the storm approaching so fast? It said it would be like an hour till it hits.
That
Yeah.
was before the funeral.
Well, it was a couple hours away before the funeral. And then so it by the time, and then you guys started moving. So it's probably still about 30 minutes away. And this infernal war machine seems to be positioned in a way very similar to how you would have suggested positioning your vehicle in order to hide.
Does it look like there is a spot for another vehicle next to it, or or is there only one parking spot under this rock?
No, I mean,
The only other spot is handicapped hiding spots. So
Well, perfect. I only have one arm.
but you have the handicap sticker. You need that sticker. Otherwise, no one's gonna believe you.
I forgot it at home. Sorry. Besides, who here cares about the rules?
I feel like Fernia invented the DMV.
Yeah, probably right.
So yeah, I mean, it's what you see is it's a large hill that has a pretty steep cliff to a couple sides of it, and right up against one side of it is like a slight impression, like almost like a divot in the wall, almost like it's a strange little nook. It seems like, despite being a natural outcropping, it seems just so convenient that it's hard to believe that something like that is there, but it is. And that's where this other internal war machine is positioned. As you guys get closer, you can see some pretty intense damage that's been done to the vehicle. There are clear signs of battle. There are gouges within the armor. There are blood stains, and just it looks like it's been through the ringer.
Does it look like it's running? Can we tell? Is there like a smoke back? How does this work? Is there exhaust on these things? Is this the reason why it's so hot here? Is because the runaway runaway greenhouse effect?
Yep, runaway emissions.
So we can't tell.
No, there's no clear way of telling if it's.
I didn't catch
or
it. Did
not.
you say there's room for us to be here too? Or
You
am
can
I
pull
shoving this
beside-
motherfucker out of the way?
No, you can pull beside it, but
All right.
pulling beside it would not offer as much an advantage in terms of hiding as this vehicle has been able to.
Comparable size or smaller than us?
A little bit smaller.
All right.
Looks like we have company. Someone else has same idea.
Looks like somebody else has a smaller car. I'm gonna use that. Hey, let me see that claw thing. Just like shove that thing forward out of my way.
I can take position on acid blaster, whatever it's called.
It looks like it's already beat the fuck up.
Well, in case there's another,
Does it have weapons?
Hard to tell from this vantage point.
I'm getting up on that motherfucker.
So you wouldn't be able to pull in behind it because, like I said, it's kind of like almost like it's parallel parked into a nook within the wall. But if you wanted to, you could take the chomper right up to the side of it, and which is also where the door is. And you could, if you wanted to, attempt to chomp through the side and then pull the vehicle out forcibly.
I see no reason not to right now.
Okay.
Can't they just like monster truck over the top of it and crush it flat?
All right, hold on. I'm sending a message.
Kurt, your new vehicle is
And your character.
Okay.
I mean,
And that's how we killed Kurt's second character.
Level up.
All right. So, Ewan, as you're approaching the vehicle and opening the champer, probably you're about you're within 50 feet of it and closing fairly quickly. But the door immediately opens up and a figure in armor that is kind of dark and ashen, covered in by a leather trench coat, emerges, and this is what you see.
Trebek. All right.
And he is in a fighting position, ready to defend the vehicle.
I can tell it's Trebek, right?
Yes.
I will hit the brake. I just look over to Vegnog. You see this? Oh, you've never met him. Hold on.
Who is he?
he probably he must have been there before we left Mark Taros,
Yeah.
because we met him when we were looking for the glider. I think we went back to the sanctuary after that.
Yeah, you would have had to.
Did Vegnog came back with us to the place?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I think I did meet Trebek.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Oh,
Because they had to we captured some demon lieutenant that they had to pin down and use to cast the spell to defend the city.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he from the city?
Yeah. Hey, tell him his thing is his vehicle's smaller. Swap places with us.
Vegnog will come out.
Eggnog accidentally sprays him with the bile sprayer. Trebek melts.
You are Trebek. What was the name of the city? It wasn't Flamekeep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
Flamekeep.
Flamekeep is the. You are from Flamekeep. No?
Wait. Do I know you?
I am Vegnog. We met with Solomon and Ewan and Lux.
Vegnog. Sorry. Warforged tend to look alike to me. Sorry.
Racist.
Just like the real Trebek.
Wait, so are you still with them?
Well, I'm with Ewan and Lux. Come inside.
By
and,
the shining light of the flame, you guys are a sight for sore eyes. You wouldn't believe what we've been through.
That's when I like poke my head out the side of the cars, like less talking, more moving.
Ewan. All right, hold on. Roland. It's okay. These are the ones that Marktaro sent out before us.
I told you to stop calling me Roland. That is no longer my name. And you see emerging from the vehicle is a man whose his hands, most of his body appears to be perfectly normal. He's probably human. But his hair is really deep silver and colored, and his face looks almost as if he's been tattooed in silver, except for parts of his face that appear to be pretty heavily burned. And across his neck, you see there is a scar. Very clearly, someone either chopped his head off at some point, or at least very deeply ran a blade all the way around his neck.
Have we met this person before?
No.
And he was not among the survivors that you saw at the Whitehall.
our vehicle is a little bigger. Would you mind moving yours over, and we can come and take shelter in ours?
Our vehicle is no longer operating, and so I don't believe there's any way for us to move it at this point. If you think that your vehicle can drag it out, I think that was your plan. I have no objection to that. There's very little we can do with what remains of our vehicle. Although you should be warned, there's many creatures in the area that may be following us. We hid here only on the last possible breaths of our vehicle's fuel. We do have one soul coin left, but we could hear the metal grinding when we pulled it in here. I don't think it will ever move on its own again.
All right, we'll get out of the way. Let's see if we can move this thing. Get near.
Now, so I go back in. I assume we're not carrying every possible thing we have. So I'll pick up whatever we've left in the vehicle, keys, spare change, all that.
Drop something into the void. Ah, shit.
Right. We do have one soul coin. I will make sure we didn't leave that in the machine.
Okay.
And then I'll come back out.
All right. So yeah, you guys are able to move the vehicle fairly easily. It makes a lot of noise as the metal grinding on metal in the chomper, and then the dragging of this large war machine. Even though it's smaller than yours, it's still really big. And so it does make a pretty loud racket that echoes across the land. So it takes probably about 10-15 minutes, but you're able to remove it, and then you can position your vehicle in the nook. Mostly, it doesn't quite fit, but you can squeeze it in. You won't be able to access the weapons on the roof, but you don't damage them in the process of putting it into the nook.
Sweet.
So what enemies chase you?
I don't know what they're called. They are essentially just living mouths in mounds of flesh with blue masks affixed just above the mouth. You really have to destroy the mask is all we determined, that because otherwise they have an ability to regenerate, even grow new creatures from their masks.
Have we encountered these before? Probably,
Maybe.
I assume doesn't sound familiar in any way then.
No.
These
You can see Trebek, he removes his helm, which is also something new that he's picked up. And you see that his face is much more worn than it was when you first saw him. He seems to have picked up a couple of scars even that are still healing. But he says, yeah, me and I can't believe you want me to call you the branded one, but we just barely made it out. Our companions weren't so lucky.
I have had visions of you. I know that you lost 2 of your people, the evil scientist and the imbecile. I watched them as they died, unfortunately for them. I saw their souls rise up into the sky, covered in the flames that we all worshipped, until the darkness overtook them, dragging them back down, dragging them to whatever fate awaits you. I say motioning at Ewan because you have that mark in your head. I don't know if your Warforged will suffer the same.
Lux also.
I don't, yeah, right. I don't know if I see, I don't know where Lux is. You in
Oh,
the,
yeah.
if you were in the cabin, then I would have nodded in your direction as well. Their souls are being used to feed some sort of great titan, demonic being that I believe they're trying to resurrect. I take it your search for Jayla Duran has not succeeded as yet.
But it's a lot more involved. The primary person who gets these sort of prophecies is one of those that died.
We were on our way to Scab to recover a powerful artifact needed to break into where Jayla Duran is held.
That seems like a promising lead. We were sent out by Mark Taros in order to find another fiend in order to power the siege spell protecting Flamekeep. Unfortunately, we ran into a stream of unfortunate episodes. Most of my group is gone. It's Trebek and me are left alone now. And that's not much of a team, just 2 men. So I doubt that we on our own could fulfill our mission. Still, as you have a working vehicle, I think we could be of use to you. We could continue to follow your mission. I think it probably takes priority over ours to the extent it can be done. And if we manage to find a fiend of sufficient power, perhaps we can detour and get it back to Flamekeep's, to keep Flamekeep's defenses up for a while longer. I think you'd be surprised at the amount of progress that Mark Taurus has made in bringing people to safety and organizing them in order to let them survive a bit longer. The fiends have been driven out. Food is being rationed. The dragon marked houses are working together to try to keep the place functioning, at least as long as they can. At some point, food will run out, so your mission ultimately will be vital.
Is there a method to get back up to the city?
They did not actually set any formal method. I have the ability to transform myself or Trebek into beasts. So if we can find a fiend that is of sufficiently, perhaps man-sized or smaller, I have no doubt we could fly it back up there in the form of a giant eagle. Although we would have to subdue it, obviously. We were given, what are they called? The magic spikes? I
The
forget. I never had them on my character sheet.
They are.
We have, at any rate, we have the same sort of magic spikes that they use to pin down the first demon that they use to power the spell.
The devil traps.
Devil traps.
We gave him
So-
those, right?
Right. We found those, and so you would recognize
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But we
remember.
have these to help subdue the fiends when we find them. But we are looking for one that is tied to Belshalor, ideally, as those are the fiends trying to invade the city. As I said, though, if we can simply rescue Jayla Duran and she can return the city to the material plane, that's better than protecting it for a temporary period. You'll find Trebek is very handy in a fight, and I can provide, in the absence of the imbecile, healing. I can revive the dead, at least if they're not recently dead. Although I don't have the diamonds needed to do that. I am also very handy in a fight.
Well, we could use a bit more firepower with.
I have plenty of firepower.
Vegnog will look over to Ewan and Lux if Lux is around.
He's called Solomon, by the way.
Wait, so Solomon he's gone?
Yes.
May his spirit join with the pyre of the silver flame.
Not yet.
Yes, it's been absorbed by the Titan at this point. Diced physically almost into pieces, it was absorbed. But I do have the sense that if we can defeat the Titan, if we can stop them from raising it, if we can break the curse that is holding the city here, that all of the souls that they have absorbed may be returned. All of the dead of Thalios, thousands upon thousands of dead of Thalios can be returned. Possibly many of the dead of Flamekeep. There will still be significant losses, but Solomon and your scientist friend can be saved, I'm sure.
Wait, what?
Scientists
what are
might
you
not be
talking
saved.
about? You haven't mentioned any of this before.
That was not our mission, and I did not understand why I was being shown these visions. I feel now that the Silver Flame perhaps led us into this position so that I could meet with the people who may be able to stop it. Although I have to say, I don't know that defeating the Titan is within any of our power if they should raise it again. I think our best way of surviving this is to find Jayla Duran.
Prevent the rising.
The Titan may well be Belshalor himself for all I know. I'm not so well versed that I know what he would look like, but the creature's horn, which is as much as I saw directly, was immense.
Your visions of this Titan gave you any clues about its whereabouts?
I'm not exactly sure where it is.
Well, welcome aboard.
Although you guys wouldn't have noticed necessarily, except for the slight change in ambience outside the vehicle, but it seems that whatever that storm was, you're now in it.
Can I look out the peephole?
Yeah, it's a dark, swirling cloud. Everything, it almost, in addition to just being obscuring like fog, it also seems to absorb light to some degree. And so even the little bit that you can see is in grayscale.
Okay. I guess maybe I would like attempt to see what would happen if I sort of like turned down the AC a little bit. to see if it's only absorbing light or is it also absorbing heat, perhaps?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. So unfortunately, because of the way the Infernal War Machine works, you can't just turn it down. It's really either off or on.
Fine.
So do you want to turn it off?
Yeah, I'll turn it off for a moment.
Okay.
I don't want to open the door.
Okay.
It seems like a bad idea. So,
The old IT trick.
Yep.
Yeah, so you do notice that the temperature is dropping. And it's dropping quite quickly, actually. For a little bit, it actually feels comfortable, but as this goes on, only within 10 minutes it becomes cold enough to where you're starting to shiver, and it doesn't seem to be stopping.
does the on warm us back up?
It does.
Is it
returns
full?
it
Is
re-
it proper temperature control or climate control? I mean,
it returns the interior to a kind of baseline. So yeah.
whatever the hell that thing out there is, it's absorbing energy of every kind. Light, sound, heat.
Observe.
Don't
You
go out.
have,
Don't
you
go
have
out there.
enough, you have soul coins enough to weather through the storm.
Hopefully, we have a decent amount, but
I'm
only
afraid
so
we're-
much.
We're down to one remaining coin.
How many do we have?
With the branded ones coin, you now have 9.5 charges worth of coins.
Do any of you need water? Trebek and I really could use the rest after the fight we had. We've been fleeing ever since and only just broke down an hour ago. We do need to rest, but we also need to eat. I will create more than enough food and water for everyone here, but we do need containers to hold the water. And he just begins to, he's like pulls out lots and lots of wineskins and just like opens them all up.
Are they full at the moment?
No, they're empty at the moment.
Well, shit.
I do not require sustenance, but thank you.
So I cast create food and water. Fill up all my like 10 wineskins. I did pull out, it was like comical amount of wineskins I'm pulling out of my backpack though.
Yeah, so you guys would notice the pocket that the branded one is pulling these wineskins out of doesn't seem to match volume.
And I put them all back into that same pocket and they're full now.
What does the food look like?
It is just basic like bread and it is all that bland create food and water food, but it's nutritious.
Feed us for a day. Enough to feed us for a day. And probably a horse. So the koala is good too.
The koala also doesn't need sustenance. Other than the occasional bit of blood that he drew from Solomon, he didn't
Right.
seem to have much of a taste for anything.
That's true. That's true. This vampiric koala is not going to be able to get anything from Vegnog.
This was the ignominious end of Strahd.
I hope I can make that happen in the game I'm running. That'd be glorious.
True polymorphed into a koala.
And then banished to Fernia. And a whole other cosmology from where he's used to.
It's just an alternate dimension. It's just the koala dimension. Everybody's a koala.
They're coming out with Spelljammer any day now, so it'd be super easy. So, but after having a meal, I then just pick a spot on the floor, roll out a bedroll, and sort of half up against the wall so that in case anyone needs to like get to a ladder, they don't have to like vault over me.
Yeah. So, and then in the meantime, Trebek is going to be really wanting to catch up with you guys. He's very curious about what you've been doing since you left Flamekeep. And then he also seemed like he'll tell of some of the things that he's been through with his group. Although anytime he mentions the name of one of his other companions that didn't make it, he'll say a light prayer with their name. But he seems fairly proud of himself for being able to help in the way that he has been able to, given his state of mind when you guys first encountered him. And wasn't it Solomon that snapped him out of his fear?
Yeah. He was
So-
basically hysterical, and I persuaded him to have some hope.
So the loss of Solomon and him discovering that really hits him hard. And he also goes up to Lux knowing that you guys had been close to some degree. He thinks he recalls hearing Solomon referred to Lux as mother, though that didn't quite make sense to him.
I mean, he looks sort of orcish, and she's a half orc, so
Okay.
I imagine there's a family resemblance.
So he would definitely approach Lux and offer his deepest condolences. Lux, I am so sorry. The world has lost quite a bit of light since Solomon has passed.
Lux looks up from eating her bland cracker very meticulously and just kind of looks right through him.
Non-saltine.
Right? It's all communion wafers.
Mhm.
And no wine.
This is Fernie after all.
Does Lux say anything?
Nope.
So then Trebek would nod and let Lux return to her quiet time. And then eventually, after trying to catch up with Ewan and Vegnog, at least, he would then try to make himself comfortable and get some rest. And you would notice as he's moving around, he's also wincing. He still has some injuries that he's dealing with from whatever battles that they've encountered, but he's been trying his best to hide that fact. But you can tell trying to get comfortable is very difficult, and he is in quite a bit of pain, especially when he makes certain movements.
What weapons does Trebek have now?
I'm gonna say he has a silver greatsword.
So he's upgraded from his spear,
Mhm.
which is all he had.
He did
And
a
he
lot of work with
also-
that spear.
Yep.
And he has a crossbow now as well. Did Kurt, did you roll for the bolts?
No, what was I supposed to roll? I must have glossed over that part.
That's fine. 3d20. All right, he's got 27 silver bolts. Um, so is there anything else that you guys are doing? Or are you gonna use this opportunity to take a rest, since who knows how long this storm is gonna last?
So my character would be curious to hear, like, at some point, since I am sleeping, or at least trying to sleep, and Trebek is chatting away, I'd be curious to hear what Trebek has to say about me. Because I have no idea what he thinks about me. I just know he was ordered to come out here with me and try to find a fiend.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good question. Trebek is kind of torn. You get the sense that he respects that the Silver Flame must have some plan for you, because he's heard the stories, and he does kind of whisper to Ewan, Vegnog, and Lux, just saying, letting you guys know that it's rumored that the scar on the branded one's neck is an attempt to execute him. And he says that he was actually held as a terrorist, but after they cut his head off, his head remained on his body, and he burst into silver flame. And at least that's what they say.
Got better.
Yeah.
Turned me into a newt.
So you can tell that Trebek believes that, but it's also hard for him because he also shares that the branded one, one wants to be called the branded one, which is difficult for Trebek.
I would have said, if he wants to, he can call me Captain or Sir.
So yeah, he would refer to you as Sir to your face then, because it is easier. And he does give deference to what, that you're clearly some instrument to the Silver Flame's will, but also the way that the branded one acts, and the way that he treats people definitely rubs Trebek the wrong way, and so he has trouble like equating that he's supposed to be a beacon of light, and yet he doesn't really comport himself in a way that he would expect. So there's this tension.
So
Yeah, so I would say that out of like when Trebek says this story about because sometimes I feel like the Brandon one is trolling me, but on a meta level. But anyway, when she says he says something about, oh yeah, he was decapitated and whatever, Lux would actually chuckle at that as she looks up and then looks back down. Like, I don't, maybe just find it amusing or annoying, or like Trebek actually believes this.
Curious coincidence is I had the branded one made way before, like months and months and months ago. And he had already, the whole backstory was already that he had been decapitated and came back.
I was like,
So
well, what
this
is
is
Kirk
just
trying
proof.
to do
This
to
is
me?
just proof to me that the Silver Flame is actually guiding me to play this character. So much so that it decapitated Solomon
Yeah.
so that I could do it.
It's true, Kurt, because each of you has like a backup character that you're able to do, and Kurt has had his written this entire time. I hadn't reviewed it or anything, and just worked out.
I was actually just trolling you by constantly referring to Solomon as imbecile.
Oh, I caught that.
But also that's pretty true. So I commented to Mike today that if the branded one had ever transformed Solomon into a giant eagle, Solomon would be smarter as giant eagle.
Right.
That
That happened to Grog in the Critical Role series.
That is true.
He got turned into a giant eagle, and he was suddenly smarter.
So I will say for Ewan, because Ewan, you were actually in Flamekeep prior to its destruction or its transportation here to Fernia. And
yeah, do I know of an execution that was scheduled to happen?
as a member of House Deneath, yeah, you
probably,
heard
yeah.
about that. You also knew that High Cardinal Crozen was working very hard to keep that information from being outright spoken about.
The fact that he was due to be killed or whatever,
that he was resurrected or that he was prevented from being killed in that way, because immediately after that execution, although it's a clear sign of some kind of divine intervention, the branded one was immediately imprisoned, and there was kind of a sort of gag order put on those who were in attendance because it was a public execution. So you may have been there actually, or at the very least you would have heard about it, and you would have known that Crozen was working very hard to keep the information contained. And then a few days later, or not, maybe up to a week later, the whole event took place with Flamekeep.
And this is the guy?
Yeah.
So I mean, if Trebek's coming to see us, and he's off over there sleeping or whatever, then I would probably put my feet up and go, you know what? I do remember that. Feels like it's been fucking years. I just kind of like look over at him, sleeping over there, and like, yeah, that's definitely the guy.
Feels like it's been years. It's been about 3 weeks.
Right.
It has been years for us. We've been playing this game like 2 years now.
And I just sort of like shake my head and I'm like, I'm not a religious type. If the silver flame really exists, he certainly seems to be playing a sick joke on us.
Sick joke. How do you mean?
Resurrected that guy. Due to be executed. The old Solomon there. Dedicated to a fault. And I mean a fault.
But you can't equate those situations. The Silver Flame, whatever its reasons, when it acted on, at the time, Roland, he was in the heart of Flamekeep, where the pyre of the Silver Flame burned bright. Solomon, he was here, far from the light of the Silver Flame, in Fernia. And
Yeah. Some deity he is then.
and he bore the same mark that is upon your head and Lux's. I'm not saying that the Silver Flame couldn't have intervened, but I don't think we can possibly know the reasons for one intervention as opposed to another.
I sort of get up and say, it's my job to know shit. If I can't know it, then I want to. It's like walk away. Go over to the driver's seat and fucking lean back and try and sleep there.
During this time, Vegnog is giving Walla Walla his what he perceives to be his daily allotment of hugs and forceful pets, trying to do his best to imitate the way that Solomon would.
I wanna see Vegnog in his accent do Solomon's accent.
I gotta work on that.
Give me a performance check to see how closely Vegnog gets to imitating Solomon.
I can do that. Performance.
Walla Walla is barely trying to flee.
He slips deeper into his own accent.
Sleep tight, little one. There is nothing that will harm you here. You are completely safe. No giant vorpal blades will cut off your head. Not if I have anything to say about it.
Lux will laugh at that too.
All right. So hours more pass. The storm is continuing outside. Are you guys going to attempt a long rest, or what are your guys thinking?
I think we would.
That's what I'm attempting to do.
Okay.
I mean, I'll short rest before the long rest just to make sure in case some shit happens, right?
Okay.
Plus, I
Um,
got that fancy parry apt. I'm gonna heal up. It's got it. I'll heal up real easy. It's. I think.
I mean, yeah, you will eventually find that the branded one also has closed wounds, which Solomon had. So if you ever want to spend hit dice, he can cast that spell.
I don't even have to roll because I recover like double the hit points because of the item. My Constitution alone will heal me.
Okay.
So, during this time, because of the nature of the nook that you guys are in, you don't have very good visibility. The driver's window is right up against a rock wall, and the ceiling of this nook is too low for you to effectively use the scope. So is there any arrangements or anything that you guys are wanting to attempt for security purposes, or what are your thoughts?
Well, if the temperature dropped that much while you had briefly shut off the car, would Vegnog, would they've heard stories or legends of like creatures in Fernia that can survive that? Or like survive those sorts of conditions? Because like Big Nog would be thinking like if it was that cold and everything else is, and it's just so different than what it's normally like, do we even need to worry about security? Just assume that nothing can really survive these cool conditions here.
Are you trained in Arcana?
No.
I mean, you can attempt a general intelligence check if you want.
Might as well.
Okay. So that's a pretty decent check, but because you're not trained in Arcana, all that you would know for sure is that weather in Fernia hasn't really been studied very well to your knowledge. And I mean, based on what you've seen in Fernia so far, you could make a conclusion one way or another. It's kind of up to Vegnog if he believes that creatures in Fernia can survive this kind of weather, or if this weather is particularly brutal for the natural inhabitants.
Okay. So I mean, Vegnog wouldn't really be moving to any sort of defensive position. He would just kind of continue to remain inert. But since there's like more people on board, he might try to like get out of the way and like stand in a corner or something, so that other people can lay down and sit down.
Well, there's plenty of room in the demon grinder for everybody. I mean, if we look at the layout, I mean, there's capacity for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 beds, or cots. And then, you know, in addition to that, there's additional floor space and additional chairs. So there's plenty of space for everybody here.
Oh, okay.
Because each of those, the long seats in the middle, each of those can convert into a cot, and each one has one additional cot built into the actual wall or ceiling. So the seats lower into a cot, then one folds out of the wall, and then the one in the middle of the floor is obviously a cot, and then one lowers down from the ceiling and is kind of suspended, almost like a hammock.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm with you now.
So we can combine Airbnb and Uber in one vehicle.
Oh, that would be a great business model if you had like those Japanese hotels that are really just like little
Just the nook.
like, yeah,
It's just
the
a
little
hole in
nook
the
that you just
wall.
crawl into. If you had a van of those stacked on each other. All right, so Vegnog is kind of standing. Is there anything else that other people would be doing or making preparations for as people were winding down, given the storm outside and the lack of visibility?
I actually would be doing one more thing. I would be augmenting my hand, my prosthetic, to basically I'm going to take some, try and work out like a nook inside the fingers. Exactly, I 3 fingers, I guess, but inside the fingers to where I could stuff like flint and tinder, so that whenever I punch, I can occasionally start a small fire. It's a maneuver. It's a maneuver.
Oh,
it
is
a theme.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was gonna say, how do I adjudicate that one?
Like punching somebody with a lighter in your hand.
Right.
Okay. Anything else that others might be doing, or any preparations that might be made before you guys are taking your long rest?
No.
Okay. Now let's see. All right, so it seems like your long rest, it goes by without incident. Each of you wake up somewhat refreshed, and but you do see that the storm has not abated.
Lovely.
I will defer to you, but Perhaps we need to drive through the storm. For all we know, this storm will last for days.
And the storms here do like to annoy the shit out of us. We have a good sense of the direction we need to go, right?
We'll have to
Um,
move slowly given the visibility. Where is this scab you were trying to get to?
Across the bridge, guarded by.
We could show them the map.
Yeah, show him the map.
We don't have to cross the bridge. It would just be quicker, probably, assuming we can find another bridge. But it looks like we might be going around.
Um, so I do think that this the Infernal War Machine has some kind of internal sense of direction. It's not quite the same as a compass, north, south, east, or west, but it has like points that you can reference to set a course. And you can know from the map, you can use that to kind of help you calibrate that. Are you gonna start driving?
Yeah, I'd have Vagnog sort of help guide me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, one second.
start driving east, I guess.
Yup.
Sorry, I was educating Lisa on Infernal War Machines.
Important stuff.
Yep,
Jeez, man, Lisa's so uncultured.
I know, right? Dustin said you're uncultured. Um, so as you begin moving the vehicle, you notice that the vehicle does not move as quickly. It seems like it's really struggling to get up to speed, and even then, you can only move half, maybe your normal speed. And then also, given the visibility, even if you could move at your normal speed, you wouldn't be able to move as quickly. So it is really like very slow going.
Can we tell if this thing is like draining the soul coin any faster?
How would you test that?
Can we see it?
Is there a soul coin gauge?
Yeah, it's like a.
Does it
Is
go
there a
to
gas meter
that?
for this thing? There had to be
Um,
something, right? That's how we would know. To feed it more coins.
to stop running? You know.
Yeah. Do we have to run it towards it goes stops and then fuck put another one in?
No, that's a good question. Yeah, I would say there is a gauge. It
I don't
It's
expect
pop-
it to be like super high tech,
Yeah.
rudimentary, you know, like a,
um
like a steam engine's like boiler meter thing.
yeah. So that's a good point, actually. So yeah, it is draining the soul coins more quickly. In fact,
Was it doing that overnight?
yeah, it was. And you would have had to wake up early because you would have been probably the first to notice that the temperature had dropped and that the war machine was not running because it was out of fuel. So it did require an additional charge
So
more quickly than it would normally.
if that came up so quickly, then before we decided to start moving, I would have asked if maybe it might be worth turning this thing off and then using our little coin to flip back to the bazaar for a little while.
So we could get more soul coin?
So that we're not eating these soul coins up. It's draining these things. We have a limited number of them. And maybe we can find some more information there on how to acquire more. Though I don't.
Trebek would have a look on his face like, what? And he'd be asking, what do you mean using a coin to get out of here?
The one-time use sort of go someplace else for a little bit.
Okay.
And I actually
doesn't-
probably would lean in to say to Ewan, I have not explained in great detail to Trebek what the soul coins are, or exactly how hideously evil it is to use them to power a mere machine to save time when walking.
So
What?
So which coin is he talking about then? Which coin is he asking about? Because they're two separate coins.
Right. Trebek was asking about the coins that get you back to the bazaar, which
Yeah.
Right.
actually the branded one also would not know what exactly that means to go to the bazaar. He assumes he will figure it out in time. But you were also talking about inquiring about soul coins. And obviously using actual people's souls to power your infernal machine, it's clearly evil. You're destroying soul. I imagine I would have sort of very quickly glossed over that with Trebek up to this point.
So,
Yeah.
so you say what again? What about what you've told Trebek again?
That I haven't explained to him that it's hideously evil to burn through souls to power a machine to save a
Oh.
little time on walking.
Right. A little time. I mean, it's immeasurably helpful because we can't survive out in the heat, or in this case, fucking cold. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's fine. He understands that these soul coins are limited resource, at least, right?
Yes, he's aware
That's
of
fine.
that much.
That's fine. He's gonna find out. We're probably gonna tell him it's fine. Secrets aren't kept very quickly or easily here.
I'd rather hold off on returning to Bazaar in the event we get more things that we could potentially trade for soul coin. Like, that's good anytime. We can, well, almost anytime. We can, when things get desperate, we can go, we can return. But not before.
So where is Solomon's armor?
Well,
I mean,
Lux, you removed
Lux
it,
probably has it
right?
somewhere.
You removed it from Solomon's body.
Yeah, could I put that in the bag of holding or?
You can put it in the bag of holding, or there's also in your guys's vehicle, there's basically a storage locker.
No, we found that to be unreliable. In fact, I think we're keeping the coins in there, the soul coins in there too, in the bag of holding. Because that fucking little shadow imp fucking cocksucker was eating our soul coins. So
Oh, well, if we're keeping the soul coins in the bag of holding, then Solomon definitely would have bought that gold dragon before we left. I've been operating on the theory that Ewan had those coins. So you open up the little storage bin in the vehicle and a gold dragon pops out.
He did not have that opportunity.
It's,
I
it's
mean, at
probably
some
sitting
point,
out.
the point is, at some point, the branded one would have said that he noticed that Solomon had been wearing fairly impressive looking plate, and it, you know, respectfully, I understand Solomon was your son. He might well himself have volunteered that plate for use by Trebek. I don't know if it's better than what Trebek is wearing, but from the look of it, I imagine it might have been.
And Trebek would be kind of a little bit not knowing what to say in that moment, a little taken aback, but he would say, I would take it as a great honor if I could act in the interest of the Silver Flame while wearing Solomon's armor, but that's not my decision to make.
And if you were to allow it, if it should happen that we could trade the armor for soul coins or some other needed resource, that could still happen. We can keep Trebek's armor in storage here. But I suspect Solomon would not have wanted whatever equipment was on him in the end, simply to go to waste.
No. Definitely not.
Well, I leave that with you, Lux. You can make a decision about that. In the meantime, apparently there's a bazaar we may or may not be going to.
It might be worth it. Like I said, we have precious few of these. If I can shut this off so that it's not eaten through them.
You would guess, Ewan, that the war machine is going through about twice as much fuel as it normally would. So while a normal soul coin will get you 24 hours worth of use approximately, you would need to refill or use a new coin before you went to sleep.
Yeah, right, exactly. Normally I can wait. You know, we go through one of these a day-ish. Depending on how fast we travel. By this rate, we're gonna have to go through at least two of them.
For today?
Definitely for today, if we try and keep going.
When we get down to 4 soul coins, then let's go back to the bazaar. Try to stick it out for a little bit longer.
And the other question here is, does our coin apply to only us three?
So You would know that based on the circumstances of how you came into possession of that, it was essentially Master Hawkins providing some kind of compensation for the security breach. And so it is not necessarily limited in terms of who can go. But so you would be able to take any reasonable number of people with you and back. Now, how many, but that only just gets you to the bazaar. Actually redeeming your stay at the 7 Golden Seals, that may be limited to those who were present, but that's something that you could negotiate with Master Hawkins.
Wouldn't it be some shit if we got there and it turns out the coin was just like for the free buffet?
You flip it over, it's just all fine print about how it's not transferable.
You would know from your knowledge that you picked up while carousing that everybody portrays Master Hawkins to be exceedingly generous and fair. So you don't have any doubt that he would make for allowances, especially given you would have seen how embarrassed and also upset Master Hawkins was that somebody was able to not only get around his wards to enter the 7 Golden Seals, but then also engage in an aggressive act.
Yeah, they would say he was trustworthy if they were being mind controlled.
I mean, sure.
Insight check. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll be able to take everybody. And probably even convince them to let them stay, since they weren't with us originally. Get the benefit of that hero's feast.
I sense the impasse. I don't know what the benefit is of going to the bazaar, but it seems as though we're simply weighing alternatives in the absence of perfect information. We don't know how long the storm will last. It could pass in 10 minutes, it could be here for days. But also, if we go to this bazaar, I assume there's a way to get back. We won't know when to come back. We won't know if the storm has passed. Could still be in the middle of the storm. But the virtue is we could turn the machine off so we know it won't be draining coins while we're away.
Yeah, you
If
got
it turns, as long as the
augury
storm
effects?
is gone. I don't.
Shame. Feels like that would be handy.
Let's try to ride it out, pun intended, a little longer.
I mean, I could obtain access to auguries. It would just take me a day to adjust the spells that I have access to.
I mean, we just woke up.
Right. It would take another full day before I could do that. But presumably that would be easy to do in the bazaar. If you intend to sell some of Solomon's equipment for soul coins, that probably is as good a time as any, I suppose. Although again, I would probably leave that up to Lux as to what goes on with Solomon's equipment.
You probably bequeathed it all to Walla Walla.
Uh-oh. There's going to be a dispute among the potential inheritors. Eggnog as guardian of Walla Walla versus Lux.
Were the documents sufficiently filed in probate?
Signed in triplicate, lost and found again. Yeah, I mean,
But
we can try
Vegnog
and keep
also-
moving. Yeah,
Eggnog also makes the point that if you have this ability, you may be able to use it later when your need is even more dire than now.
indeed. Yeah, let's get
I
moving.
have, okay.
Perhaps if you don't mind, you can add your coin to our pile.
I am happy to add my coin to your collection. I'm also an excellent driver. Actually, I've taught Trebek to drive some as well. So if you need to take a break, either of us could fill in.
Yeah, I've been teaching him. Pointing to Vegnock.
And I'm pretty good. I can coast.
I would say Trebek is an excellent student, and he could even pilot in a combat situation if needed.
I appreciate your confidence, sir. I definitely think that I could hold my own if push came to shove. In fact, if Ewan, if you wanted to take a rest from driving, it seems like you've been the primary driver. I'd be happy to step in for you.
Yeah, my ass is getting a little numb from that. I'll get up and sort of gesture. Yeah, go ahead, go right ahead.
Okay. And Trebek looks over the controls. He seems pretty proficient. As you and you watch how he steps into the seat, and he takes over, and it's pretty smooth sailing.
I tell him about that gentle list to the left. So he's got to watch out for that whenever coasting. He's got to watch that.
Oh yeah, I can see that now. Thank you. That would have taken me some time to figure out. So the vehicle is only able to move at a quarter of its speed safely, due to a combination of the visibility and how much this storm seems to be affecting the war machine. You do notice that even though you are not, like, the storm isn't affecting the interior of the machine, there still is that kind of dulling effect with the noise, at least as it reverberates through the machine. So it doesn't vibrate, or it doesn't seem to like jump as much as you would expect. The noises, the movements, everything is just a little bit more subtle. So it is Actually, not as rough driving experience as it has been this entire time, and it only now do you notice just how jarring the traveling in the War Machine has been since you started riding in one.
I'd be curious. Does it? Is it like super quiet out that side? Then,
Yes.
if I were to like knock on the door, for instance, it's like muted. Maybe
It is.
now's the time to make loud noises because I don't know what. I don't think there's anything out there that could hear us.
Lux would place Solomon's armor next to Trebek's stuff that he has put in the vehicle.
All right. Trebek probably wouldn't notice when he's driving, but he would understand the sign, and he might not verbalize anything because it seems like Lux isn't really interested in speaking, but he would give a deep nod of respect next time he had an opportunity to see Lux. So you guys are heading in the direction of the scab by what way? Since are you going back to the bridge, or is there some other
Sounds like we're gonna try to go eastward.
Try and skirt the Sarlacc pit.
let's bring up the map of Fernia. Where did that go? Where did I put you?
I just gotta go to the bathroom. Be right back.
You know what, actually, let's take a 5-minute break. It's a good place
Okay.
to pause.
Okay.
Resuming. All right, so now let's is it this one? No, it's this one. Let's look at the map and see which way you guys are taking this ship. So you guys are currently here on this side of things. The scab is over here.
Yeah, so I think we were gonna try to go east, so we could circle around the river towards Mountain Doom, drop the ring off, and head on to Scab.
We might drop the ring off. We have a ring sitting in a box right now.
So it looks like there's another river in front of us. Less substantial, but seems like that's a river
Mm-hmm.
that flows into the bigger river. And then when we get around the bend of the bigger river, do we go around Mount Doom or through the sludge? And then we've got to go all the way over because there's this bend in the river.
And then you got to deal with this guy who is another warlord.
But I assume the plan is to continue way over here to not go anywhere near his mountain. So there's a lot of threading of the needle there. I suppose you could try to avoid the sludge by going like through this tiny gap between the ravine and the sludge.
Go this way. What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know what the scale is on this map. Like that seems like it could be a big detour to go this far from here to here to here. For sure.
Yeah.
And then
I
here.
get you. Yeah.
So that's another thing about this map. Although it looks incredibly detailed, it's not drawn to scale and it's not drawn exactly. So some of these things are more symbolic So it says there's a mountain here and there's this giant lake of sludge, but is that actually a mountain, or is it really just, I don't know, a giant anus that's just poking up from the ground with of a monster that's just kind of, buried.
Yeah, I got you.
That's even more terrible because something is coming out of the anus.
Is it really sludge, or is it just a giant inland sea of whiplash damage?
And if this is an anus, then it makes this here that much more terrifying.
Right. But even if we like go this way, I mean, interestingly, it looks like almost like there's a road that goes between these things up to whatever this is here. I think it's a place to jump to get to this side. But there's this little castle in the way. Like there's a lot of stuff we're gonna have to run into.
Yeah, and some of the things on the map you might not even actually encounter. I mean, yes, it says that there's a little river here, but maybe it's not actually there anymore. Maybe the terrain changes regularly in Fernia. Maybe by the time you guys are approaching it, this little ravine is actually closer to here, and the
That's
mountain
not reassuring.
might be over
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
Not even
Maybe,
close to
we could just
reassuring.
wait here until the scar eventually moves up to where we
Yeah,
are.
maybe. Yeah, exactly. We'll just hang out at the bazaar. And just use the augury, daily augury. Hey, is it within a day's travel? No? All right, we'll just wait here again. We'll just hang out. We don't need to like barter for time inside. It was comfortable there. We'll just camp outside. It's fine. We got create food and water. We're golden. Guys, this is a plan. All right.
Another consideration, just because it is in the journals, so you guys, I mean, you can go to the scab and there are things that you can do there, but you know that in order to be able to access the crown, you need a ritual that requires a couple of components. So there is that too.
What are the
Because
components?
that's what's at the scab, and why that's important is that crown.
Right.
Let's see.
But yeah, the branded one would ask more about this ritual and whether you have all of these components.
I don't think we have any components. We've not made it very far. There keeps being more fucking storms. We can't get anywhere. We're dealing with a storm. We're dealing with the fucking enormous pile of trolls. It's one thing after another. We haven't left this general vicinity from 2, 4, 5, 3, like this whole area. We have not left the entire time we've been here. For the past 2 years.
To be fair, you guys have covered actually a lot of ground, because you started in Thalios and then you died. And then you ended up in Flamekeep. So there was a lot going on there too. But yes, you have not made it far. So yeah, I guess as Ewan and everybody's kind of directing Trebek on where to go, Trebek would also have more questions. What what is this scab that we're heading towards, and what is it that we're meant to do there?
Those are excellent questions, Trebek.
Thank you, sir.
Somebody write that down. All the prophecy fucking shit that we have to deal with. There's a lot. All right.
There is. I'm gonna create a new tab that's specifically called prophecies and shit.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know who is going to tell them this, but I will assume the branded one eventually picks up all of these little threads from people talking about it, including the fact we have like one weapon that does cold damage, and that's apparently important because we need to do cold damage.
I'm looking for it. There is a crown at a relic that is a crown that is said to exist in multiple planes at once. That is residing at this scab as its place in this plane. Its power is required in order to breach.
Okay, so there is I thought I did something like this. So there is a tab, chapter 3 under information, pieces of the puzzle, that which basically outlines every major bit of information that you guys have encountered that has something to do with some aspect of your journey. And then also, so there are pieces that have more specific information. So it's also good to refer to the tab Lacisse's ritual, as well as Mad Maggie's prophecy, because those were also things that went into much more specifics or may have more clues than the general reviewer here.
So you need a fiend coin, which is different than a soul coin, I gather.
Yes. It is.
And you need the blood of an angel that has lost their heart. I haven't myself seen any angels. We will have to hope that the silver flame guides us to these things. Although perhaps the fiend coin, I don't know if that could be found in your bazaar or not.
It's possible. We did run into at least one fiend at this bazaar.
Do you know what a fiend coin is?
Yeah, we have some ideas. Similar to one of these other coins. Similar to the soul coin. Except of a fiend. Apparently drastically more powerful.
Well, perhaps that's why the silver flame is forcing us to not use this bridge you were trying to cross and take the long road.
Yeah, that wasn't the silver flame. That was just terrible goddamn luck. I seen it. It was green on the screen, and it wasn't from one of us.
I've renamed the tab appropriately.
Perfect.
At some point, I would also be dismayed to hear that the jewel of Cloynier was destroyed, since I assume that's what was leading you around, but apparently not.
Not anymore.
So, should we head east?
It seems as though there is no choice. Your quest requires us to go south, and since we can't cross the bridge, east is the only way to allow a southern access. We could perhaps hope to find some other bridge along the way. From what I gather, we'll get all the way down there, and then, assuming we can get the crown, have to come back. So we should be on the lookout for shorter paths to return if we can find them. And we may have to, unfortunately, take a few risks, such as if we can find a gang of fiends, we should consider attacking them in case they have soul coins, particularly if they have infernal machines of their own. Perhaps not quite so many as you took on last time, but we might need to pick off stragglers on purpose, even if we might otherwise not want to pick fights.
I agree.
Oh, it's definitely most likely going to happen.
We will need soul coins in order to make it there and back. Much more than we have. And probably more than we can obtain from Bazaar. Unless we liquidate everything of Solomon's possessions. But
I mean, speaking of Solomon's possessions, there's plenty there to sell, I say, staring at the koala. Apparently, that thing is worth several soul coins.
he is worth much more. He is worthless.
Excellent. We will get even more for him then. Oh, you meant sentimental value?
Yeah. No, it was Solomon's last wishes, or at least it would be Solomon's last wishes if he had time to make last wishes for Walla Walla to live on.
Maybe.
I'm not suggesting that we give him to someone who would eat him. Perhaps someone else who might love him and would be willing to spend several soul coins to acquire him.
Only time will tell.
So I will say one thing, Ewan,
Mhm.
you may want to look at under chapter 3 NPCs, Vitala, that you got some information from your carousing that might be helpful as well.
Hold on.
I mean, another possibility might be if you could find this Mad Maggie you mentioned again. She might be able, or people in her compound might be able to tell you where these raiding gangs of fiends might be found so that you could hunt them rather than just hoping to stumble upon them.
She is in opposite direction.
Well, that's unfortunate.
but good idea. There might be others that we run across that could provide similar information.
So you guys, from the map, you guys would know that where it's marked 10, those are symbols of warlords that and their territories. So like the Shadow of Death was a warlord. So those are places where you would be more likely to encounter those kinds of war bands.
Gotcha.
That's good. There's one on the way.
Well, let's begin. We have a long journey. Let's at least head eastward in the direction.
All right, I will keep on course.
Okay. I remember now.
That was a hard night, so it's easy to forget things.
Right. I know what we can find a demon coin.
Where?
Back at the bazaar. Or on the Emporium, at least.
Is there a risk?
there's a-
of-
There's a
is
merchant there.
Is there a risk that he sells it if we don't get there quickly?
Chances are he wouldn't sell it at all. We'd have to steal it. He was very proud of it.
Was it the merchant we met?
Did we meet this guy? Did anybody else? No, I think I found him when I was out.
You didn't find him, you heard about him.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently he's super proud about it.
Well,
When one doesn't normally sell things that they're proud of. At least not for a reasonable price. We can also buy soul coins from him.
Why would we bother if we're going to steal his fiend coin? We might as well also steal his soul coins.
Yes, indeed. It might put us in poor standing with the whole leader there of the Wandering Emporium, especially if he found out.
wouldn't be not wise to burn bridges, especially bridges that cross dimensions, cross planes.
Probably
No.
best to do this last.
Well, that makes some sense. Does sound from the stories like Master Hawkins is the sort who probably would figure out who stole the fiend coin.
Indeed.
Hmm.
So
Hey, Trebek, how are we doing over there?
Trebek's just driving through the gloom.
we're continuing on course. And then all of a sudden there's a change, a bit of a rumbling. And then the entire cabin begins to fill with acrid smoke, causing everybody, if you breathe it, it burns the throat. It causes you to cough, and it stings the eyes. And there was a pop and a slight explosion before it happened.
From where?
Everybody give me a perception check to see if you happen to be looking in the right spot at the time. Kurt, are you gonna roll for the branded one?
Oh, I didn't realize I was doing something and talking to myself. So
Oh.
technically I did roll, but I will roll again. Technically I got a nat 20, but I'll still roll again so everyone can see. Nat 20 is not that good when you're the branded one.
Well, Vegnog and Ewan, you would have both looked over at the council, the steering council. It exploded and began filling the cabin with smoke. So Trebek is coughing vehemently. What is this?
Are we still in the storm?
Yes.
Let's go over there and see if we can
Yeah, I go over
figure out
to
a
see
quick
if I
way
can
to fucking repair it or something. I don't know.
try to fix it. Whipping my backpack off, I pull out my tinker's tools and a bag of Smith's tools.
Kurt came prepared with this character. So the first thing you need to do is deal with the smoke. How do you guys address that? Because you can't really see very well as long as the smoke is there. You do know that the vehicle is still running. So it's not the conditions within the cabin shouldn't change or be affected by the storm outside. It's unclear what caused this small explosion. It may have been an effect of the storm and how it's draining the soul points. It could be some other cause. It may have been that this just was bound to happen anyways because it's an old jalopy. And how would you know? Because it's a war machine. But you can't really examine it or start repairing until you deal with the smoke.
The only thing we can really do
So
is
the
open the fucking door.
Right. So the bazaar then. I've got nothing for smoke. I actually thought about gust of wind and I was like, that is very situational. And even then, gust of wind inside a sealed vehicle is not going to get rid of the smoke. Just push it around.
So I don't know. I was fucking start fanning the door.
Wait, you're gonna open the door?
I don't wanna. What else the fuck else am I supposed to do? It's not. I'm not gonna like leave it open. I'm just like fan it, like open, close, open, close, open, close. I've wafted a fart out of a room efficiently. I know what I'm doing.
You do, but does Ewan?
Absolutely. He drinks a lot.
But if he drinks a lot, then why would he care if somebody is
It's the next
experiencing
morning, okay?
his
This is how we learned Ewan is lactose intolerant.
Okay, so Ewan, you go for the door and try to open it in a fanning way. I will say before you start doing that, the door is very heavy and it's not made to open and close very quickly. So and
What about a
it's a
latch?
sliding door. So the latches they are on a hinge, so you'd be better able to do that, but once again, they are heavy. So opening it and then closing it, it's not going to be like taking the door to our room or something and kind of fanning it. It's not going to be as efficient or easily done. Not saying you can't do it, but just that this is information that Ewan would know so that it impacts the decision that you make.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're the one that filled the car with smoke, so I'm just using what's at my disposal here.
I didn't. The dice did.
It's all Trebek. This is all Trebek's fault.
The minute you let Trebek touch the controls, everything went to shit.
So here's what I want to try to do, and you can tell me if I can do this. I'll spend an action point and use my armor of faith, which allows me to use my faith to create a shield of temporary hit points around myself or an ally, so that I can work and ignore the gas.
Okay.
Essentially, I am creating a little bubble of hit points for it to eat through. That
Wait,
hopefully will let me.
The gas that from the engine or the gas from and the darkness outside
From the engine.
Okay, because it's not actually causing any like hit point loss or anything.
Yeah.
It's
Suffocation doesn't care about hit points.
Yeah, it's mostly kind of the visual aspect. If you want to spend an action point though, to use Shield of Faith, I would say that you could do it in a way where within that 5-foot radius around you, it pushes the smoke out so that you could work in the area without being blinded.
Okay, that's what
I
I'll
wanted to do that.
And just in case it might help, I'll light up the luminous tubes.
All right. So Kurt,
Question is, can they be seen from across the way? Through the smoke.
Yeah, as you try to fan the smoke out the door. I mean, I will hand somebody my shield. I have a black wooden shield that's trimmed with silver. And then Solomon had a shield. People can use that to help move the smoke out as you open and close the door.
So Ewan, are you following through with that? You're opening and closing one of the hatches or doors?
I don't know what else to do. I
Okay.
don't exactly like if my hand becomes immediately fucking frozen to the damn hinge, I'll close and stop. I guess.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. First fan, what happens?
So you go to open the hatch, and immediately the clouds that have enveloped the outside of the vehicle begin to flow in to your vehicle, and you feel the intense cold. It's not cold enough to freeze your hand to the door, or like to cause your hand to shatter or anything like that, or become ice, but
His other hand.
it does. But
He's more machine than man now.
you do, in addition to the cold, you feel the draining effect of whatever this miasma is outside that you're now letting in. You are letting the smoke out, but you're letting this whatever it is in. So I need you to give me a Constitution saving throw. Okay. So you you're able to, in this moment, if you choose to shut the door, you would minimize the exposure, but you can feel that whatever this is, it is draining you. And you have, you can continue to try and follow through, or you have this moment similar to what you said, like if it freezes your hand at the door, you're going to close it right away. This is your moment to make that decision.
Or you use burning blade to set the door on fire.
Right. I'm positive that'll just be snuffed out immediately. Well, okay, so the idea was that I would be fanning it anyways, so I feel like I would have whipped it open, so I would pull it back down anyways. So
okay, so you did that quickly enough to where it didn't let too much of the outside in. You did help reduce some of the smoke in the cabin. It wasn't a whole lot, but it is, at least it's not causing people to choke and gasp so much. It still burns the nose, and it's still very unpleasant, but it's much more bearable. And you know now from that short exposure that had you allowed yourself or the cabin to get any more exposure to the outside, you would have basically been starting to take exhaustion levels at best, perhaps worse effects as well.
whiplash damage.
Maybe some whiplash damage. Probably not, but you never know.
It's whiplash damage directly to the exhaustion levels.
So you managed to avoid taking any exhaustion or taking any major effects from the outside, although it has fatigued you, just not to the point of mechanical exhaustion. And you have noticeably improved the air quality inside and improved the visibility. It's still in the air, but not quite as bad.
And it's not spewing out more. It's not like a constant thing.
It is, but with the branded one's spell, it seems to be creating a bubble that's somewhat containing the smoke, because in that spot where it's happening, If he's the only person there, then that 5-foot radius around him effectively acts as a wall. So it's really thickening in that barrier and not so much to the rest of the cabin. And it's also creating a space where the branded one is able to work. So BO, give me a tinker's tool check using dexterity. Very good. So let us know what it is that allows you, or what it is that you're able to do to fix the state of the vehicle.
So, well, first, I guess I have a question. Like, ultimately, where is the smoke coming from? Is it coming from like inside the engine? Is it coming? I assume it's coming from
Yeah.
something I have access to.
Yeah. So you with your tinker's tools, you can actually remove the panel, the whole entirety of the panel, which
Mhm.
gives you better visibility in there. And you see that there is a combination of some kind of fluid leak and a faulty wire that is creating some kind of arcing energy, whether it's magical, electrical, or whatever. It's creating sparks, and that is reacting with whatever this fluid is to create this smoke effect.
All right. Well, then I would say first I would use the tinker tools to essentially apply a little glue to where the fluid leak is coming from to stop that, and then weld down the wire back to where it's supposed to be so that it's not necessarily close enough to the pool of liquid to arc into it.
Okay. So you can also tell from your tinker's tools check, the assessment. You make the assessment that this is probably a lingering effect, whether it was damage sustained in a previous battle or some kind of wear and tear. It's unlikely that this was affected by what was going on outside.
This was very unlucky. It just happened to occur at the time we were traveling through the storm. You might want to get, if you can get back to Mad Maggie's at some point, mechanic to look this vehicle over. Or a refund from that woman who actually did look it over and somehow missed this. Shoddy, I say.
Feels
that
like whatever
point-
the hell that
So
whatever the
yeah,
hell that
while
is
I'm
going on out there is.
while I'm there, I would try to figure out if there's something else that might go wrong. Since the panel's off.
Yeah. You would see that there is a good amount of damage. And at that point, Trebek would say, didn't you guys say that you were fighting that warlord in vehicle combat? Did anything happen there that may have done something?
Not on the inside that we're aware of. I suppose we could have taken a hit. We could have taken a hit or something. But nothing particularly obvious.
Feeling like that outside, it's it's got a whole cloud of entropy. It's like it could still have been related.
This damage looks significantly different than what I would expect from what I saw outside. And it's entirely internal to the machine. Doesn't seem as though anything is leaking into the engine.
Old age.
That definitely could be continued wear over time.
We might need to get better. Ask for more thorough checks when servicing our vehicle.
I don't see anything else that looks like it's going to be an immediate problem, but this does suggest that we may, if we can find any bandits that are operating these machines, want to take a second machine. That means twice the full fuel usage, but less chance of being stranded when this one breaks down completely.
I look in the bag of holding for the Demon Grinder's extended warranty.
I'm sure Mad Maggie wrote a fair and balanced warranty that we can collect on as soon as we get back.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you guys got this from Mad Maggie.
Right.
Oh, that's true. But you had all these weapons put on it. That's going to void the warranty right there.
Or increase the soul coin premiums.
Eventually, you're going to start getting like sendings from various people announcing that your warranty is about to expire and that you should renew it.
Oh man, that would definitely happen in Fernia. All right, so Branded One, once you've fixed the paneling or the workings beneath the panel, you could replace it, and then the vehicle's function would return. Trebek would be able to continue taking the course east. So you continue moving forward slowly, because once again, whatever this is that's going on outside is impacting the speed of the vehicle, in addition to the visibility, making it more difficult to go as fast as you'd like. But you guys are making some progress, at least. Eventually the end of the day comes up, and the storm is still present. It has not yet abated. And so it's getting it's not late, obviously, because day and night doesn't happen in Fernia, but you guys are getting to a point where fatigue is setting in, and Trebek is having difficulty maintaining his alertness while driving.
I mean, then I would take over for Trebek so that he could rest. I mean, I would assume, I would assume in general, we would let the guy take a break every now and then, but keep driving. You got to go for 8 full hours doing nothing else. I don't care about your
for now.
Yeah, I don't care about your deep vein thrombosis. Keep going. But yeah, I would start driving.
Mm-hmm.
It's around that point that the fuel has also run out and a new soul coin needs to be inserted.
Other than the bags, huh?
And so that leaves you with 8 soul coins remaining.
Look through the periscope here. If I can see anything. Any hope of fucking getting out of this bullshit?
Visibility is too bad. You can't see more than maybe 20 feet in any direction.
Hmm.
Depending on the air currents and how the miasma is traveling, you might be able to get as far as 40 feet visibility. And it's also weird too, because once again, everything is in grayscale. All color seems to have been drained from the area.
Just guess we keep going.
Yeah,
Yep.
I guess.
All right,
Taking
you guys are gonna
turns.
keep driving through the night.
Yeah. We'll take turns as needed.
Okay. So who is it gonna be Vegnog continuing to be at the lookout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he can without penalty, really.
All right. Go ahead and give me a perception check at disadvantage.
12. Oh, that's persuasion, not perception. Hey, 18.
Okay. Just check something. Okay. So yeah, through the night, you don't see anything major. But then just as the morning comes, and just as you insert a new soul point, because a new soul point is needed at the end of that, you guys begin hearing and feeling something happening on the outside of the vehicle. And Vagnog, I mean, it's at distinct points around the vehicle, maybe 2 or 3. And Vagnog, you turn the viewing scope to try to see the origin of it, and on the vehicle, you see this. I think this should work. Vagnog, there should be something in at the top of the journal tab.
Journal.
Since only you can see it, I
Yep.
want.
Can I tell how close it is?
It's
Oh,
on,
it's
it's on the vehicle. Yeah, I'm gonna
Gotcha.
send you
We
a
have
message.
company.
What does that mean? What sort of company?
It looks like thing with tentacles and blue mask of
Ugh.
flesh. I think this must be one of those things that were after you.
Yes, undoubtedly it is. But what can we do? We can't go out to fight it. What is it doing? I'm not sure that it could get into our vehicles if it's sealed. Does it look like it's finding a way through?
They appear to be using their giant jaws to crunch into the metal, and while many of their teeth are breaking, they're also regenerating. And some of the bites are actually leaving scars in the metal.
They seem like they're biting into it with eventual success.
So, does anyone have a way to attack them through the metal of the vehicle? I am going to have to take a risk if I'm going to speed up enough to try to throw them from the vehicle because I can't see where I'm driving.
Would it just be easier to open the door and let them in?
They are fairly large, or at least they look large.
Yeah.
And
I'm
we can't leave the door open for them very long. It was only open a brief second when you closed it again.
Agreed. It's that, or they chew a permanent hole through the roof.
Or I go very fast and then I turn and see if I can throw them, possibly hitting something on the way. Or I could shoot lightning into the ceiling. That might get them. If it's metal, might pass through the metal.
That's true. Might just work as a Faraday cage. We might be
Or,
safe in here.
or electrocute everyone inside. Either way, I did something. I could figure out, I could sit in the periscope and I could figure out if I could sacred flame through a periscope, if I could see the target.
Yes. They get no benefit from cover. I feel like this should work. I feel like this is an extremely valid option.
Dear sage advice.
All right, so we'll end there for the evening.
All right.
So, and then I suppose each of you guys, if you wanted, could take turns through the viewing thing to see what these things look like. So I'll show everybody now. Do you guys see it?
Oh, but I know what it looks like.
There we go.
Do you see it now?
Mhm.
Certainly something.
Yeah.
So I'd also let you know that to break the mask, they seem to be weakest to they're strong, but they seem to be weakest to thunder, force, and bludgeoning.
Bludgeoning, you say? Perfect. Bludgeoning is my forte.
And force damage recently.
I had the opportunity to make that a permanent thing. I'm gonna have to wait though, because it felt too soon. Plus, I really won with the battle maneuvers.
So I know that was a bit of kind of an odd session. What did you guys think with the setup and the challenges and everything?
I thought it was good. Like I had to get my character introduced somehow.
Mhm.
That was accomplished.
Yeah.
And I was entertained by the RP of the session of like Vegnog now being the caretaker of Walla Walla. Pretty sure, by the way, he's only had that name for like 3 days, so you could probably change it if you had a better name.
So no, Vegnog is he's gonna be like having extreme guilt for leaving Walla Walla without a guardian. So he will change nothing and try to keep his routine the same as possible.
Okay.
What did you guys think of the storm? The storm.
I mean, so I don't mean this in a bad way. The storm was frustrating,
Mhm.
but it's that's the way weather obstacles are kind of supposed to be. It did. I sort of found it interesting the discussion about whether or not to use the coins that go to the bazaar and then come back later, or to just wade through it, because it's pretty realistic. Like we don't know. This storm could last forever for all we know. There is no way. It could be like 3 centuries from now the storm will finally abate.
Right.
And then we just
This is
live the
Fernia's
rest of our
version of
lives.
night.
Right.
It's the fucking the giant red spot of Jupiter here.
Right. I mean, I'm curious as to why these fiends can exist in the entropy. Apparently they're fine.
Right.
But Ewan almost lost a hand. His only good hand.
Right. For being out there for a split fucking second.
Which means like we
level
can't
up there.
Right. We can't like
Yeah.
really open the door and give them time to come around and get in, assuming they would even fit through the door.
Right.
Like we can maybe distract them for a second, but also if they pierce the hull, I assume we're just all dead. So that's stressful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting challenge. Yeah, just not really sure on like what we can do.
Yeah,
To
this
overcome
is one of those times where I just sort of think, oh, this will be an interesting thing to put in front of you guys, and then see how you do it without having considered any potential solution, because you guys always pull something out that I'm not expecting. So I kind of now expect you to do that.
I do that all the time. Like I give my players like it's your obstacle. You deal with it. Sometimes I do.
The most obvious way that occurred to me is to just go really fast and then stop really fast and see if we can throw some of them and then run them over.
The issue is that we can't go very fast in this shit.
Well, but some of that is that we just can't see where we're going and we don't want to like run into rocks. But if we embrace the risk, we can go somewhat faster. Then again, they are holding on in a storm, so they might be pretty sturdily up there.
No, but that's a good idea, and I'm excited to resolve that next time. So, we'll say that just as the branded one is about to gun it, then the fades out and says, "And next time on Descent into Fernia."
I mean, we could, hey, now that the situation is more dire, use your coin to go to the bazaar.
We could give him the coin so he can go.
We'll just do. I
Or we-
mean, I
we
feel
just
like
come
we'll
back-
just do that. If they
just
break
come-
through the halls, like, all right, guys, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I mean, why play the ace of spades early if it's good any time? So yeah, it's play when we need the trick.
Right, but so we'll come back and we'll probably have like a sunroof, but maybe we'll be able to figure out if the storm's over.
Mhm.
I mean, another thing I could do, I have to look up the spell, is I have Flaming Sphere. I don't know if it can exist in the entropy, but if it can definitely jump up onto the roof and just roll around forever for a minute.
What about heat metal?
Heat metal might work too. Does anyone have heat metal?
Lasis would have by this level. I
For
love
a
that
second,
spell.
I thought Lux had it, but then I realized no, that's Aurelia.
Oh yeah.
Like it hits something really, really hard a bunch of times over and over again. That'll heat it up.
Unfortunately, I forgot also that this is not Solomon, and so my Sacred Flame idea will not work because I do not have Sacred Flame.
Just a minor problem.
Right, I could have taken Sacred Flame, but that is not one of the cantrips I have. But I would have looked forward to trying that just to see, can you do that through a periscope? Then this is easy. I just have to keep zapping them and hopefully they don't eat a hole in the roof before they all flee. How many of them did we see, by the way?
You only saw one, but you can hear distinct sounds from 2 or 3 places. It's hard to tell because once again, the sounds are muffled due to the storm seeming to absorb things, but 2 or 3 distinct places. So you can assume there's at least 2 of them. Although Vegnog could only see one to the periscope.
Right. So there's like 1 on the roof and like 2 eating in from the sides. In which case, maybe opening the door, you could get to 1.
And who knows? I mean, maybe Vegnog doesn't react in the same way to the storm as everybody else because he's not made of flesh and bone.
Maybe his joints just freeze up.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt, it just can't move.
Or he just rusts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing what happens when we push him outside too. Good luck, Vegnog.
Did we actually get a long rest?
You did, yes. You had towards the beginning of the session, right after finding Trebek in the branded one, you got a long rest in. And then depending on if you were actively driving the vehicle or not during the last potential, you may have gotten some kind of partial rest. Well, I really appreciate everybody playing tonight. I had a lot of fun. Also, I do have to give credit to Tony a little bit to the storm, because I had not thought out the storm as much until Tony mentioned it seems to be draining away ambient light and energy. And I was like, yes, it is.
Damn it, Tony.
Yeah. Good idea.
Why
Fairy
couldn't you say
strikes
like it
again.
seems to be spitting out hit points?
Look at that hit point. I'm gonna grab that.
Look, little hearts all in the air. Just grab them. Keep them in the bag of holding for when we need them.
So that was a moment of inspiration. I was not going to let go.
Have a good night, guys.
All right,
right,
take care,
talk to you
everyone.
later.
All right, take it easy.